Yep. Thanks for joining, Aashrith. Can you please introduce yourself?
Hey, hi everyone. So my name is Aashrith. So I work at a company called AUBA, which is an early stage startup as a machine learning engineer. I've been in this field for almost 3 to 4 years right now. Yeah, so that's a little bit about me. So I work mostly on language, um, mostly on the field of NLP and generative AI. So yeah, that's like a brief about me.
And how did you get started in the field of machine learning, and what motivated you to pursue in this field?
So I started off in my master's. So I was doing my computer engineering at Texas A&M, and I was working with images a lot. I was interested in image processing, and then that shifted a little bit towards computer vision. So I felt very curious on how things were getting classified, or tasks like object detection or image segmentation. So that was my one of the main points where I was completely interested in machine learning. And later I kind of drifted towards NLP, which was which was more on the research side of things. So yeah, that's how I got here.
Yeah, interesting. And, mm,
Hi, Aashrith. Thank you again for doing this with us. So my question to you was, could you tell us the
I think you're breaking a little bit.
so I will repeat my question. Can you tell us some of the examples examples of some challenges that you face every day in the kind of work that you do?
Yeah, sure. So I work more closely towards language, so more like understanding documents. So my day-to-day challenges would be more like understanding new documents or new text, or how are they related. So just to give like a brief about what I do. So I work in information extraction, so trying to like extract information from the documents, like relevant information, like understanding the context and what information is needed in areas of supply chain. So that those are the documents that we deal with. So yeah, so for me, the most challenging piece would be understanding what kind of documents are coming in, and what our models are trained on, and what our models are capable of extracting, and constantly monitoring if we are doing well, and trying to like get like a feedback loop, and doing some more research on how to integrate this data, and trying to add more rules or something like that. So mostly dealing with the data would be the challenge, I would say. Yeah, almost 80% of my time goes in handling document types and understanding what these documents are.
That's pretty cool. So what do you really do to like, stay up to date with like all the latest trends in machine learning? Is there something specific you do on a daily basis, or how is it like?
Uh, yeah, so that's really interesting. So I must say, like, so mostly I would be more in touch with my peers, like people who are working in this domain. So like especially the AI community is very collaborative, and it's not like, yeah, everyone's gonna share things on social media like LinkedIn. LinkedIn would be like one of my interesting source, I would say. And even companies like Hugging Face or OpenAI, all these companies try to like put the information out there every single day, like what are the new models that are coming up, and what are the benchmarks, and what are the new performance data sets, etc. So yeah, I think that would be mostly it. And I constantly keep like every time I face any challenge, I try to like read articles, mostly from Medium and towards data science. That would be mostly it. But I think LinkedIn is pretty like important important medium for me to understand what things are and how are they evolving, especially being in the Gen AI kind of domain. It's growing every single day.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's totally right. I think keeping ourselves up to date is what we students also want to learn from you today. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay.
Hi, Aashrith. Thank you for joining us. Today, my question is, do you think math skills are very important in machine learning, like in industry-wise?
Yeah. Okay. So I wouldn't say they're not important, but I would definitely like, yeah. It's I mean, there are like two sides of it, right? It's not like you're gonna use it every single day, but it's definitely important for you to like understand models and how they work. So you might not use linear regression or logistic regression every single day, but that leads to a perceptron, that leads to a neural network, and that leads to a transformer architecture. So you have to understand the basics to understand like higher level architectures, or something which is much more complicated. And yeah, and I'm just thinking about other use cases if there are any. But yeah, definitely like understanding these models and trying to like assess performance is definitely important. And metrics like precision, recall, and F1 are something that you're going to use every single day, and you want to understand how your model is performing and evaluate these models and what are the data sets and what chunk of data you need to use are few things where you can use math, definitely. But yeah, it depends completely. If you're in a research kind of domain, then it involves you to like build machine learning algorithms. So I live in more like a application domain where I try to use these models. So for me, I wouldn't be using on a daily basis. It is mostly for me to understand how these models work. But if you are in a area where you are trying to create, or you're trying to get through a new model or a new algorithm, like a new transformer or a fine-tuned transformer or something like that, then definitely it is important for you to understand that.
Okay, based on this, I want to just want an advice, like for future students or aspiring students, uh, to work in machine learning. What courses or skills do you think it would be important, or you would recommend them?
Yeah, sure. I think it's always good like to start from the basics. Like even though you won't be using them in the industry, like uh you would always not use a linear regression or a decision tree, but they are like the building blocks of complex algorithms out there. I think you can start there. And I would broadly classify ML in industry into two domains, computer vision and NLP right now. So based on the interest and based on the problems that you want to solve, you can categorize yourself into any of these. And yeah, coming to the skill set, I would say the one of the most important skill set in any domain is how uh how 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 are you understanding data? Because if you're not understanding the data for that particular domain, you wouldn't be able to build a new model, or you wouldn't be able to solve that problem. Because I think like just throwing data at a model wouldn't give you a solution. And if that is the case, there wouldn't be so many companies at all, like because companies like Amazon or everyone has like their own models that are deployed, and you can just throw data at them and you get results. So it's more like how are you going to solve the problem using these models, and how well you understand data. I think, yeah, that would be the key.
Oh, these are my questions. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I had some questions for you. Like in your current role, what are the some specific ML algorithms or techniques that you will be using?
Yeah, so currently we're working on language understanding, more like document classification and text extraction. So I'm dealing more with um, the transformer architecture, so more like a BERT or a fine-tuned BERT. for extracting information and for classification. But yeah, there are like several algorithms and several open source models that we use right now. Like we use OpenAI, we use Llama. So these are like the models that we use for our problem. But yeah, mostly on the grounds of transformers.
I have one more question, like coming to the scalability, like how you'll be handling like big data sets and all while deploying with them.
Can you be more specific on what do you mean by big data sets? Like, do you mean like training the model using big data sets or inference time or
Like coming to the large data sets, like while deploying the large data sets to your ML model, like how you will be using this, how you will handle that thing.
Okay, I'm gonna assume like it's more like if you're asking about the training of the model, then we would mostly do streaming, or we would try to like chunk the data, and we would try to use those data sets to train one at a time in an iterative process. But if you're talking about inference, then we would go with uh currently our inference pipeline is a Kubernetes cluster. So it's more like we handle multiple documents at a time. But there are like in our company we use Kubernetes for that, and we have like multiple nodes where our models are deployed. So mostly parallel processing it. So using that infrastructure there. But if you're talking more about uh, so our company is more like it's not like a real-time solution company. It's more like we take the data in and we give the data, we give the output after a certain amount of time. So we don't want real-time inference. So we don't deal with real-time applications, anything like AWS Kinesis or Kafka. We don't use anything like that. But yeah, we batch process them basically.
Thank you. That's all my questions are.
Awesome.
Yeah. Hey, hi. So I just wanted to know, how do you monitor and maintain the performance of a deployed projects? So we have like so many models and use so many models in a single project. So how do we maintain, or how do you monitor all that models or training of that thing? So is there anything like specifically that you do to maintain or monitor that models?
Yeah, sure. So we have like a whole MLOps pipeline for that to like train models on new data, evaluate models on that data set, look at the model drift, and try to so it's like a continuous loop, right? Like once you deploy the model, you get new data. Now the performance drops. You need to train it again,
Yeah.
and then you need to evaluate it again, and you see the difference. If the difference is okay, and if it's not bad, you do like A/B testing and try to see if it's like, are you dropping the performance on old data or not, and you then deploy it. So it's more like an experimentation. I must say, like how you're curating your new data set and how you are retraining them.
Okay.
So yeah, I think the question more points towards the MLOps pipeline. So that's
Yeah.
like a whole entire thing on how we maintain models.
Okay. That's a very new point I've known. So one more thing, like we have seen so many changes in the last 5 years in ML and deep learning technologies. So where do you see the future of machine learning in next 5 to 10 years, especially in the, computer science industry or any other industries? So how can we see the future in ML?
Um, yeah, with the boom of generative AI, I at least see the next 2 years to be in this domain, because of how, I mean, we have significantly increased the compute power on which increased the amount of data a machine learning model can take in, and the amount of data it can understand. So yeah, like you must have seen OpenAI, ChatGPT,
Yeah.
or a lot of other things which are doing really great in a lot of tasks which were not that great before, like entity extraction or relation extraction or things like text summarization. Um these were all like we had like a limitation on compute and the amount of data that we can ingest to a model to get that output, right? Like that is all overcome now. Like we can train model on millions of records and millions of data points. So like ChatGPT has been trained on the whole internet right now. So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah. So I think keeping an eye on generative AI is one of the key things to do. I genuinely feel like everyone's drifting towards it at this
Okay.
particular point. But yeah, I think that would be my take.
So you've been working in this industry side, right? So do you see any disadvantages of machine learning? I mean, this is my personal question. So, like,
Uh,
anywhere you felt that, oh, here the machine learning shouldn't be there, or we have been using more of right now we have chat gpt and we mostly use chat gpt for everything. So there's kind of a disadvantage is because we are not learning, we are directly asking chat gpt. So do you feel like that anywhere in the other models of ml?
yeah, I mean, getting an ML model to work with 100% accuracy is never the case.
Yeah.
So you have to build systems in a way that 80 to 90% of the problems are handled by the ML model, and your system as a whole should handle 100% of the problems. That is how you need to think about it. So it's only going to solve the obvious and it's not going to solve the anomalies. So you need to handle them on your own. So that's how you look at a problem and try to solve the problem. But yeah, I'm a strong believer where if you don't need to use an ML solution, then you don't use it. If you can code it or if you can uh, do it with a rule-based system, then just go for it. So yeah, I think that's like a conscious decision I always make to try to see if this problem really requires an ML model to be there. So yeah, I wouldn't call it as a disadvantage, but throwing everything at an ML model and expecting it to perform well I mean, that kind of mindset is not that great, is what I feel. But yeah,
Okay.
just understanding at what point that would help and what point it is not doing well and trying to like build another system around it would help a lot.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time, Asha.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much,
Thank
Aashrith, for all
Thank you.
questions.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Aashrith.
Yep.
Thank
No worries.
you.
All right. See you guys. Bye.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye.